I want to get into this whole thing with Stephen A. Stephen A. versus Memphis. Okay. Yeah. When was it? It was last week, because actually last week it was right on time. It happened on Tuesday, I think it was. It happened on Tuesday, a Monday night. The whole thing they were talking about. What were they talking about? Free agency. I think we're talking about.
It was after the Bane trade.
Okay. Because Bane got
around Bane being traded and everything like that, and they were saying like, so what are the Grizzlies gonna do?
Yep.
Because now we're stockpiling picks, and it's like they're talking about Giannis and KD, and it's like, okay, so is Memphis gonna try to get a big superstar? So
yeah. Okay, correct. Thank you. So is Memphis gonna get a big superstar now? And so now the big talk is, well, nobody want to come to Memphis. Memphis is a small market town, which it is. But Stephen A. took it to another level when he was talking to the Morris twins on First Take and was just saying, are we going to be real with it? You know what I'm saying? The reason people don't want to come to Memphis, it was just like, the gun violence is crazy. The crime is crazy. You know what I'm saying? And players have told him that, verbatim, that they don't want to come to Memphis because, quote unquote, they feel unsafe. Right? And so, my whole issue with it with Stephen A. is one thing. Even when I was doing some Uber drives, and so I'm getting people from all around, from airports, from people coming in town and out of town, and so I just asked a question, just like what you think about Memphis? Most of the 90% of them just are like Memphis is beautiful, man. I had a great time here. It's not what I thought. It's not what I heard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not what I've heard on the TV or what people like Stephen A. say. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, I had a good time. I was downtown. Oh, you were my driver. Like, you were so nice to me. You treated me well. Like, took around this. I'm downtown. I thought I had to, not take my purse downtown with me or do something like that. But it wasn't nothing about, how I heard it. So the thing I don't like about Stephen A., because he continues to feed into the narrative about the people that don't know nothing about Memphis and haven't been to Memphis, about how bad it is, but in reality, it's just like any other city. Chicago, you go to Chicago, some places in Chicago you don't want to go to. You know what I'm saying? You go to DC, is a couple places in DC you don't want to go to.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Didn't that team used to be called the Bullets?
Okay. Yeah, and so, and then now it's just continuing to go down on the other podcast, Gil's Arena. They had Kenya Martin talking about it. He was like, if I wouldn't want to go to Memphis. He talking about he went to a club or something, and people were looking a little shady. I think it was South Memphis or something like that. And so, just like, man, I know I wouldn't come to Memphis too. I wouldn't matter. I'm just like, I just don't like the smear campaign Memphis is getting now as a city for no apparent reason.
Right.
And we're talking about millionaire NBA players. NBA players I know either stay in Southwind in the gated community or out there in Eads. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not
Collierville.
Collierville.
Like I told you, when I was working out there, like, you remember the mail I used to deliver? Yeah. And I used to stay trying to catch them. I used to stay trying to catch them. I'd be looking. But I would see the cars in the driveway. I'm like, oh, yeah. And then where, like, a spot where they moved to, it was a spot where, like, Mayor Harrington used to stay over there. Mike Conley used to stay over there. Penny had a house over there. Like, and have I had a gun pulled on me in Memphis? Yes. But where was I? Let's give me some context to that. I was working for a nonprofit organization in Orange Mound.
Red Zone.
At Red Zone.
Yeah.
Right on Park, right around the corner from Melrose. And it was one of the kids that I had been mentoring, and he got mad because I put him out the building because he was stealing stuff out the kitchen. And I told him until he apologized, he couldn't come back. So he got mad, and so he tried to get me to fight him, and I wasn't going to fight him, so then he pulled a gun on me. But again, number one, where am I at? What am I doing?
Context.
Context matters. I also had a gun pulled on me in Ridgecrest when I was doing security over there, and I'm covering for somebody. Now, keep in mind, people that stay in Ridgecrest don't want to be in Ridgecrest.
People not from Memphis know about Ridgecrest because of a certain rapper.
You got it right. Everybody knows in Fraser you do not want to be in, like, Ridgecrest was a spot where we always had 3 to 4 guards working there every day because of how much stuff would go down.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wasn't surprised when the guy upped the gun on me, or what, and then the same young man that upped the gun on me, probably about a month later, ended up accidentally killing himself. talking about couldn't nobody get him, shot the gun, the bullet ricocheted, and ended up hitting him and killing him.
That's crazy, man.
Now, again, I'm not going to say that's reaping what you sown, cause I'm not going to say that, but I did tell when I was talking to some of them, because it was a group, and I'm telling them, like, you're heading down the path of destruction. Listen to somebody who done lost some friends, who done lost some family members, who done lost some homeboys, classmates, like I've lost people to this life. This the direction you ain't talking about, that ain't gonna happen. Okay, all right, you do you. So now, where I stay at now, I stay 2 houses down from the sheriff. Ain't nobody pulling no guns on me now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When I stayed out, when I was renting a house out in Millington, man, all my neighbors, retired police officers, retired firemen, wasn't nobody pulling no guns over there.
Yeah.
If I had people come over to the house, they would call me and be like, "Hey, we noticed some cars out there. Everything good?" So, like, again, to your point, the context matters. And y'all know, if y'all see me on here, and I don't know if you saw the videos I posted, like, I did a couple of reels. I'm like, y'all know, if y'all see me on this podcast, I'm going to have the hat that I wear the least is an Atlanta Braves hat. Because if I'm baseball, I'm not watching everybody. I ain't even going to lie to y'all. I'm watching the Braves. I might watch, like, the Yankees, but I'm definitely watching the Braves. Yeah. And I've been a Braves fan since... Deion Sanders was on the Braves. Fred McGriff. When David Justice was with Halle Berry, like, I was like 9 years old. I'm a Braves fan. Let's go Braves. Yes, I mean, and we was just talking about that. We gonna talk about that later. But it wasn't even because she was light skinned. Halle Berry just fine.
She's fine.
Like she's nice. When you know that God intentionally does some things.
Yeah.
Okay. And we ain't talking about Halle Berry, and she looks good now, but we talking about like 90s Halle. We talking about Boomerang Halle Berry.
Yeah, Boomerang. That's right? Where it started.
Yeah, so
Boomerang. Yeah, Boomerang.
But I've been a Braves fan, and then like I said, they had Davis just prime. But then you gonna also see me wear San Francisco 49ers fan. Been a fan since I was 4 years old. Right? My squad. So I'm not bang bang Niner gang. Win, lose, or draw. But you also gonna see when it comes to basketball, I always have on a Chicago Bulls hat. I am not a bandwagon jumper. And even though my favorite player is Scottie Pippen, even when he been saying his crazy stuff, he's still my favorite player. My GOAT is Michael Jordan.
That's true.
And because of those two, I became a Bulls fan, and I've never jumped off the bandwagon. But I never root against the home team, which is why I got on my Memphis hat. And when I go out of town, what I tell you, whenever I go out of town, I always have a Memphis hat when I go out of town to let people know.
Rep the town.
Right?
Yeah.
But the idea... like, to your point, the narrative that's being spun is that this is why people don't want to come here. They don't want to go to no small market team. They don't want to go to Indiana. They don't want to go to OKC.
San Antonio.
New Orleans has a great, food, nightlife, and everything. Cool. Yeah. They don't want to go to New Orleans. But it's really only, when they say California, like, San Francisco, Golden State just became that because of Silicon Valley. They weren't trying to go in the 90s when Tim Hardaway and Chris Mullin them was there.
Yeah.
So it's only the Clippers and the Lakers. You talking about L.A. It's only Boston. It's only New York. And even though New York got the market, like, New York has only been a finals contender maybe one time in the last 25 years.
Yeah.
Because even when they had Melo, them, it was like, okay, well, they ain't going to be Miami.
Yeah, they weren't.
They weren't real contenders. You know what I'm saying?
They wasn't contenders.
No, they weren't contenders.
They might make it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
No contenders.
So
it was just sexy to look at.
Like, Brooklyn. And what has Brooklyn done? Brooklyn made it to one Eastern Conference Finals, and that was when they had the super team that wasn't a super team with KD.
Are you talking when his foot
hit the, with his foot, right. That's the only time they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Who did?
Brooklyn, the Nets.
When they had Durant,
no. They made
Kyrie.
They made it when Jason Kidd was there twice. Remember?
No, you talking about New Jersey. But to your point,
it's the same.
Okay, but to your point,
but you don't be specific. Right. No, they haven't.
But I'm just saying from them being in New Jersey, that wasn't a big media market.
Right.
Yeah. Nobody wanted to go to the New Jersey Nets. No. They want to go to the Brooklyn Nets because it's in New York now. Right. But like again. Yeah. And like I said on one of the reels, y'all act like it ain't crime in Brooklyn. Every New York rapper we know, where they claiming? They claiming Brooklyn, they claiming Harlem, they claiming Yonkers, they claiming one of the 5 boroughs. Yeah. And all of y'all been around drug dealers. All of y'all done been shot at. But it's New York because it's a big city.
Yep.
And when we say Memphis, Memphis really is only North Memphis, South Memphis, East Memphis, Westwood, and everything in between.
Yep.
But we forget, because we live here, we know this. Germantown is Germantown, but but when they say Memphis, they ain't talking about Germantown.
No.
They ain't talking about Collierville.
Right. Yep.
They're not talking about Eads.
No.
They're not talking about Millington. They're not talking about Lakeland. They're not talking about Arlington. They're not talking about Rosemark. They're not talking about Oakland. But
that's
all
the
of
point,
these.
though.
But check this out
That's
though.
the point.
All of those people work in the city, right? Or when we want to go to places that's low key off the map or whatever, where do we go? Well, oh man, I'm finna go to this new spot in Germany. I'm finna go to this spot in Collierville. Like we not finna go. Oh, I'm finna go to Smoky City. I'm finna be in Douglas kicking it.
I'm gonna go to Tony's place in Fraser.
You know what I'm saying? Like the one Grizzlies player who something bad happened to, it happened because he was in South Memphis under a stairwell shooting dice. And that was Burks. And he said, I shouldn't have been there with over $100,000 shooting dice under the stairwell in South Memphis. I ain't never heard of Pau Gasol getting robbed or Shane Battier. No. And we know White Chocolate, when he was here, he loved some hood stuff. Nothing ever happened to him. Rudy Gay, Conley, none of them folks. As much as Tony Allen and Zebo, and you know me, I don't mind telling myself, I done been to the strip club and saw Tony Allen and Zebo in there. And back in the day, in the mid-2000s, yes, they might not want to come play in Memphis, but all them NBA players used to come to the strip club in Memphis.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
Of course, like that.
And like, man, who is this? Oh, shoot, they play. Oh, this. I ain't gonna say their name because some of them might be in position with. But I'm looking. I'm like, oh, snap! He played. During the season, dude, and they not even playing the Grizzlies. Like, don't y'all play? Y'all playing New Orleans tomorrow, but you in Memphis at the strip club. Like they want to be in Memphis for certain stuff.
Yeah,
it's a small media market.
But the other thing is this: per capita. When you look at the numbers, a lot of crime and stuff happen in Memphis. The other side to that is a lot of these other places, and I've been to places like that because I was in the Memphis 10-Point Coalition, which is still there, but we're on the back burner right now. When you go to these other places, a lot of these places don't call the media or don't call the place and tell you the things that's going on in the city. Memphis does. And that was one of the things we brought up. Well, whoever the mayor is, why y'all telling them all the crime that's happening in Memphis, but in Atlanta, but in New York, but in Chicago, all these other places, they ain't calling and say, okay, we had this much crime this week. We had this much crime in the month. That's what Memphis does. So that's why Memphis comes up as having all this crime, because we report our stuff. And a lot of them other places don't report their stuff. So people hear that and they think, oh, crime in Memphis. It ain't. It's just as worse as New York, Chicago, L.A., and all these other places.
Right, and that was my point.
Miami, all of them.
Yes, sir. And that was kind of my point, just because didn't LeBron's house get raided in Beverly Hills or get jumped over or whatever like that?
Yeah,
all these other
they've been doing it lately. These players,
athletes,
these players, they've been doing that.
A lot of the athletes' houses been raided, and I think Luka Doncic. A couple in LA Clipper players.
And one thing about us, we love our if we got a celebrity here, we love our celebrities here.
Yeah.
We'll mess with everybody else. I'll go rob my brother before I go mess with Ja. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I'm mad at you because you used to pee in the bed. Nigga, I got to rob you. But like, oh no, that's Ja Morant. I can't.
Right. And that's part of the thing, man. I'm just like, I really hate that Memphis gets a bad rap, and then now the Memphis narrative goes, because we just finished the thing with Tyree Nichols situation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Finished with that, and so that made national news, right? And so now people that are not from Memphis, this is the next thing they hear from Stephen A. talking bad about Memphis, and the next thing they think about is the Tyree Nichols.
What did he say about this? I don't know this. We just talking, right?
Right.
I don't recall him saying anything about Minnesota, where George Floyd got killed. I don't recall. Maybe he did. I just don't recall it. Right. So why you put all this emphasis on Memphis?
Right.
Well, the thing on Memphis is that we killed Martin Luther King Jr.
Yep.
That's always over there. So it's always going to bring people's attention to that. I get it 100%. But you can't single us out like that. Why aren't you talking about all these other places that like George Floyd? They went all over the world before Tyree Nichols ever did.
Yeah.
They went all over the world talking about how they killed that young man. But he ain't said nothing about that.
And then to your point, you talk about them killing King here, but we still get a bad rap, and it's been proven.
Right.
It's to come out now that that was actually the FBI had something, the CIA and the FBI had something to do. Just like with Malcolm X, just like with the Panthers, just like with Fred Hampton. Them, like they actually had a task force where they had people set up, they had people pay, they had backup shooters. Just in case that they did. And again, even King's lawyer who wrote the book said that actually when he died in the hospital. The doctor suffocated him in the hospital.
Yeah, he was still alive.
That's in the lawyers, the King's lawyer.
Right.
He was still
now, he might have died,
right?
But they helped the cause,
and he put everybody out the room. He told everybody to get out the room, and it was the nurse who actually witnessed it, and she gave a deathbed confession to her son, like, this is actually what happened. This doctor put us all out, and she said I was watching him, and he smothered him with the pillow. Like, so it's like, but we get the bad rap for that. But why is that? Number one, we are still, again, being natural first, we're a majority black city still.
That's what I was gonna say.
And then also,
majority black.
It's so bad. But Elon done built something out here. Oh, it's so bad. But they just brought an auto plant down here. Oh, it's so bad. No, it ain't that bad. You just have to spin a narrative and